So this is what I'm going to be critiquing today. I'm going to be talking about perspective, and the gesture is great, but the body and the way you rendered the body really needs some reference. And if you did use reference, more reference, really break down your reference. But before I get started, if you want to submit your work for critique, all you got to do is go to istebrak.com and click on the subreddit icon right here. That'll take you to my subreddit. And the subreddit is where I will be hosting the next community challenge, which is a floral creature design challenge, meaning that you can pick any one flower that you like, any one flower, and turn it into a magical creature design. So here's some columbines. I think this is a double morning glory. This is foxglove, delphinium, helenium, and then we're looking at this gallery, which I was just searching through, and they have some pretty interesting flowers, and I will link this in the chat so everybody can scroll along. And this is an orchid, which looks really cool. It looks like a creature. You can already see the bird shape in here. And that's okay. You can take that idea if you want. I'll try not to sound out ideas because it feels like I'm taking away the idea from you guys. Or, oh, no, they're going to think I copied Istebrak's idea. But I really don't care. You guys can take any ideas that pop out of my head while I'm scrolling through. Look at this lotus. There are so many cool things you can do with a creature design. I'm seeing a lot of manes for the creature, floral petal manes, like a lion's mane. That would be really, really cool to see. I'd love to see some manes in the designs. Look at this cool pom-pom dahlia. So beautiful. These lilies are just so cool. I mean, you can do so much with this drapery effect, and basically the challenge is to pick a flower and turn it into a creature, and as long as we can still see that there's some of the flower left behind, so we still need to see the same colors. You shouldn't be changing colors from the reference that you picked, and the reference should be handed in as well. It's like, I mean, you can see the creature just popping out at you. Creature and I guess humanoid. Humanoid is more complicated. Creature seems really, really easy for you guys to dive into because the flowers already look like creatures a little bit. You never know, you might win. Don't feel like, oh, I'm not going to win. It's not about who drew the best drawing or who had the best skill. It's not a contest of skill. It's more of ideas and effort and all of that good stuff. Those are who win in my challenges. Okay, so let's talk about today's piece. We're looking at a couple of issues with perspective. Then there's just the familiarity. I mean, I'm not sure if you're going for a character that's supposed to read as a male from this low angle perspective, but I assume not. I assume you're just going for a feminine character. I'm just going to take it at face value and go from there. So the issues with this painting is that you don't have environmental light. You have a lot of objects that are glowing, but they're not really creating any kind of influence anywhere. So, I mean, you do have some light emerging from this, I guess, but not quite enough. You have this fractured moon that is also a waterfall, which is cool. That's a cool design. I'm actually not sure if this is a tree branch that's in front of the moon with stuff falling out of it. I think it's a fractured moon. Lots of stuff all over the place and lots of bioluminescence in the environment, but skin tone that looks like it's in the daylight, that looks like it's just at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which is not good. It's not good to have that confusion. You're confusing your audience. You're confusing the laws of physics. And it doesn't really feel right because we can't have warm skin tones in a blue environment. The environment controls the temperature of the skin tone. Write that back to me. So if the environment controls the temperature of the skin tone, then all we have to do to fix it is just grab the color of the environment's temperature and just throw it over the skin. And you will have some areas that are still white, but she is kind of a pale character. It's not like we're dealing with a character that's very dark or rich in skin tone. Maybe a little warmer on the skin tone the closer it gets to the light source, but definitely not where we were before, because that doesn't make any sense. Do you see how warm that skin is? You're just hanging out at the park at 3 o'clock, you know, under a tree, or, you know, in some sunshine. That's how your skin would look. It would look very peachy. But if you're at nighttime in a night realm of the darkness, and another realm of bioluminescent fairy dark elf situation, you're not going to have skin that looks this warm and looks this sun-kissed. You want something that feels appropriate to the environment. And so that's the first thing I'm going to fix. But that's not even the biggest issue. These are just the small fixes that might help you. The biggest issue, the absolute biggest issue, is what you did with the head. This looks very masculine. And not just that, it feels like you dropped the skin tone around the jawline. So let me go back to where we were before. Okay. So this is how it looked before. You drop the skin tone to cool values around the jawline. Can anyone tell me what that reads as? Just from the audience, so that you can see it's not just me and my opinions, it's just general opinion. What does this look like? What does this desaturated jawline look like to you guys? Hi, Dendra. 5 o'clock shadow. Thank you, Jet. Oh, hi, Jet. Yes, it looks like a beard that was shaved. You didn't have any, I mean, if this is what you intended, that's different. That's a whole other different story if this is what you intended. If this is supposed to be a male character, that's fine. But I'm going to use some skin tone on the jawline just so I can show you. Again, these are like the small fixes that you can apply that will help you fix it today, but they are still not the biggest issues. But anyway, so that's why it reads as heavily as a man. But let's jump into Liquify. We're actually, yeah, let's jump into Liquify. Wait a minute. Give me a second. Give me a second. All right, there we go. And I'm just going to fix this scenario here. So if this is supposed to be a female character, and it's supposed to be a slight angle, you've overdone the angle for the jawline. This is going to be a lot of back and forth between Liquify and Transform and the paintbrush. So let me just get everything here symmetrical. Okay. So when we tilt our head back, we no longer see the edge of the jaw. There is no pre-designated line that nature gave us for our jaw that when we tilt our head, it's still there. There isn't that kind of shadow in the room that needs us to make this edge that sharp. We would actually see a lot more skin tone. So let's soften that jawline a little bit. Okay? So before, after. And I'm just going to let that jawline catch some light. This is going to be tricky. Your colors are all over the place. You've got purples, you've got grays, you've got peaches. And I'm also going to get rid of this laugh line because it severely aged her face. Okay, so we've gotten rid of some major likeness, just things that are just not working. They're just not working because they're an overlap of gender, overlap of perspective, confusion. It's like only the chin was an extreme perspective, but the rest of the face was in the normal perspective. That doesn't happen in real life. That's how you break a chin. Technically, when you're breaking someone's jaw, you're changing its perspective without changing the rest of the head. Practically speaking, I'm going to change your jaw's perspective. That's a really, really good threat right there. Anyway, for science. So before, after, before, after. You can see how the perspective is now caught up to the rest of the face. It's similar, it's matching. Let's keep going. Let's keep finding these little pockets of issues here everywhere. So then we have this kind of overlap happening in the nose, which is okay. But we still have a very big jaw and very, very small eyes. The perspective isn't that extreme. Like we haven't changed the face this much. She's just tilting her head back. She hasn't tilted her head back and her head ended up 3,000 miles away from her body. Maybe that's exaggeration. 2 meters away from her body. We're still working within the same general perspective. Her body and her head are generally the same distance away from us. We haven't jumped that far away when we tilted her head back. It wasn't that bad. And so I'm just trying to like untilt her eyes so they're facing us once again. Art bully threat. Art bully threats. Don't make me change your jaw's perspective. And then filter and liquify. So now what I can do, now that I have all of the structural anatomy in place, I can apply beauty. Beauty is separate from perspective because beauty doesn't care how pretty you are. Perspective doesn't care how pretty you are. It's going to be perspective. But beauty is something that happens as an accessory. It happens after the fact that you can be beautiful and ugly and tilt your head back and you'd still be proportionate. Do you see what I'm saying? Nobody's really ugly. So I'm just trying to fix all of this by adding the beauty that we need to make this fairy princess look like a fairy princess. And that usually starts in the size of the eyes. Artists pretty much know the eyes carry a lot of the beauty that we see in anything, style or not, just everyday beauty. And your favorite actress, your handsome man, it's always really big eyes. And even in stylization, anime, cartoons, non-anime stuff, the eyes are usually where we go to fulfill that beauty. So I'm going to just increase the size of her eyes a little bit. Okay, she's also very sad, but she's pretty sad, so she's not going to do the ugly cry face. So that's not, I can't just like make her like, you know, like I can't do that. But I mean, I can move the eyebrows, but I don't want to change too much of what's happening with the original artist's decisions. Like I don't want to step too far away. If they want to keep it a kind of pin-up sadness where you're beautiful, but you're crying, but you're still very beautiful. You know, you're not really showing emotion. You'll cry later when no one's looking, but as long as people are looking, you're pretty crying. And that means you're not moving anything. The only thing that's showing that you're crying is that your tear is slowly and beautifully moving down your cheek in a very beautiful crystalline way. And so I'm just trying to put this mouth in perspective. So before, after. This mouth needs to be shaped in such a way where it looks like the cylinders are stacked against the face. You can't just have, you can't just have this simplified emoji shape for the lips. You know, just like a V shape and that's it. I mean, you can try to add that type of simplification, but it's really taking away from your your skill. So what I'm doing is I'm applying the realistic version of what you already did. Okay, and this jawline still feels very, very large, but it's better. So I shrunk it a little bit. And you can see before, after. Do you see that beauty now? Before, small eyes, and then big eyes. The lips were a bit far from the nose. The jaw was kind of swollen. Do you guys see that difference? So this is just with the Liquify changes. Do you guys want to see how it looked before all of the changes? And I'm just going to, hello Syndrome. And I'm just from this distance, I'm just trying to make sure the jawline is not big. So this is what it looked like before all of these changes. Before, after, before. Do you see that jawline? Do you see the smallness of the eyes? It wasn't just that they were small because, well, maybe they're of a different type of eye. No, like they actually looked very small, like you were tilting the head back in some kind of foreshortening perspective. After, before, after. The chin was actually in a different perspective. You don't need that sharpened edge on the chin. You do not. It's just not necessary. There is no sharp edge along the chin. The only reason you think there is one is because when a face is front facing the camera, someone's looking right at you, there's an edge along the jaw. But that's an overlap edge. That's because the chin is in front of the neck. But the chin is no longer in front of the neck when the head is tilted back. And so that's why you had a very, 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 very uncanny and unusual read to the face that you drew. It was just not feeling like realistic or beautiful. You may have had some style left over, but that wasn't carrying enough. That wasn't carrying the weight of what you were losing by disrupting that much perspective and that much beauty. Okay? So those are the changes for that. That alone has taken the painting a lot, further than where it was before. And do you see what I mean by it looking a little bit masculine? Again, these aren't just my opinions. A lot of people will look at this and think, is that a guy? Is this supposed to be like a, I don't know what term to use. I don't know what term to use, okay? I don't want to offend anybody. Is it a man dressed up as a woman? Or is it somebody who identifies, you know what, I'm not even going to go down. I'm not even going to go down that way. So just that alone has helped us repair a lot of stuff. Androgynous, I wouldn't say androgynous because they kept the jawline. It wasn't androgynous at all. It really looked like a classic male drawing. The trope, remember, I'm talking about the tropes, not about what happens in real life. What happens in real life, there's no rules in real life. A woman can have all masculine features and still look like a woman, very, very beautiful in real life, but you put those masculine features on paper and a drawing, she no longer looks like a woman. That's the rule of turning things into drawings. You get away with less. It's very, very strict when it comes to art. And that's why you got to learn the tropes, especially if you're going to work in character design or book cover design, anything where you're working with someone else's vision. They're going to want you to draw the character they intended and their gender. So right here, it feels like this whole shoulder area needs to be indented inward a little bit. It feels a little bit like it's all just one surface area. So I'm just cleaning that up. And just creating some kind of groove there. I mean, if you touched your shoulder right now, you can see there's an inward indentation just around your collarbone. It's just a bony area, no matter your weight, really. It's just a bonier area. And usually we have an indentation in that area. And I'm just doing something like that here, so it doesn't feel unusual. The anatomy doesn't feel unfamiliar. And with all this muddiness, there's a lot of muddiness in the face. Muddiness in the face or anywhere in the skin means that you're using too many rogue values that just don't really need to happen. And though I'm okay with her kind of darker eyes, it makes her look a little bit more like a shadowy character, you know what I mean? It looks nice. I just want to even out these unusual, cool values you have around the jawline that I cleaned up earlier, but I didn't keep it. And I'm just trying to make the skin feel a little bit less muddy. And the muddiness really comes from shadows that don't belong there. Missing midtones cause muddy skin. Write that back to me. And if you're missing midtones, if you're going straight from highlights into shadows, you're going to get that weird muddy look in all of your drawings. And it's just going to haunt your drawings until you learn what a midtone is. A midtone is is everything. A midtone is the data of what you're seeing. It's the visual data. A sharp black and white are not, you're not seeing anything anymore. Those are dead zones. There's no data in white and black. Midtones are where you have variation of form, where you have variation of surface area, where you have variation of elevation, where you have variation of depth, and cavities, all of that, all the good stuff happens in midtones. And if you skip the midtones and go straight from highlights to shadows, you're just giving us nothing. There's nothing happening in those white and black areas. And so this is how I get rid of that, by getting rid of all of these unnecessary shadows and replacing them with midtones, as I have done just now. I'm keeping that shadow for the neck area since the light is coming from a general upward direction, I guess. Don't finish that sentence. Which sentence? Trans femme is what you mean. Missing midtones cause muddy skin. Trans femme? Oh, okay. Trans femme. There, that's cool. I'll use that. Someone's like, don't finish that sentence. And I'm just creating this like angled shadow. See that? Like a triangular shadow coming from some angle somewhere. So put your hands up if you rely too much on blacks and whites and not enough on midtones. If you do, the remedy for that is form study. Do a study where you're portrait study in grayscale, but do them in grayscale, because then you really start to see, wow, like I am relying way too much on this flashy stuff, and I don't really know what's the flesh of this object, what's the meat of the object really, and that's in the midtones. And that's how you remedy it, that's how you fix it. So let's take a look at the rest of the painting. So we have, let's look at my color picker. Okay, look at how white that is. That's pure white. Unless this bra is bioluminescent as well, that should not be that white. There's no reason for it to be that white. Even these bioluminescent flowers that are supposed to glow aren't that white. So let's just do a big crazy change. Let's grab the background value. This environment color. The environment color is the color of the sky. Write that back to me. So the color of the sky, this is the environment color. I'm just going to drop that whole color on everything, and I'm going to take it to darken. Okay? And I am going to lower that darkness. And I'm only going to delete where I know I have brightness, bright points. Look at that. Suddenly these are glowing because they're getting the opportunity to glow. You have this moon right here. All right, but these glowing objects are allowing us to see this character. So we're going to get a little bit of extra glow on her hair over here. We're just going to start from top to bottom. We're just going to go from top to bottom. All right, then we're going to get some light on her hair from this side because this butterfly is also illuminating her. So just on this part of the hair, you already did all of this work. You just didn't give yourself a chance to show it because you already blasted the whole painting with pure white. You didn't even get a chance. You have some rim light here. Oh la la, that's so pretty. And then you have some butterfly catching some of that moonlight. That's nice. And then you have the light of this butterfly on this arm right here. Oh, look at that. This is something you already did. I'm painting in the negatives and I'm just softening that edge. All right, then there's the bra on the right. Just some of it needs to be illuminated, not all of it. Again, this is just my shadow layer. And I'm softening that out. I'm only deleting where I know I have a need for brightness. I'm not making both bras glow for no reason. I mean, both cups glow for no reason. I'm letting some light hang out on the hair. Then I go to the face. Obviously, the face is getting a lot of that direct light from one side more than the other side. So I'm going to let that shadow kind of sit on the face a little bit. Not too much though, because I don't want the face to look muddy again, but still the face kind of looks a little bit off because your highlights are high, so it's hard to decide exactly what I'm doing with this face. Let me just do a collective erase. And then you've got the bangs, which should be angled. The bangs should be doing this. Oops, that's the wrong layer, but you get to see the layer. So filter, liquify. Because the bangs of the head are tilted back, we should be seeing the dome of the head. And so the tilt of the bangs should be a downward C shape. That'll reveal the perspective of the bangs as they wrap around the head, which is solid, and the bangs, which are liquid. We consider hair liquid, by the way. As artists, we treat hair as a liquid thing. The wind blows it around. It's very subject to gravity and outside forces. It behaves like a liquid. It can fill a cup. It can take the shape of anything it falls on. It's kind of like liquid. Same with fabric. They behave very liquidy, liquid textures. So see before, it's downward, and this way it's upward. It's helping the perspective along. But let's keep going. We're only deleting what the light can see. So these two light sources are at war with each other, and so they're creating this terminator line somewhere in between everything. All right, and then we have, I'll bring in more rim light as I go. I also have to change the color of the rim light. This light is yellowish and this light is bluish, so I'm going to have to adjust it as I go. Then this thigh and this leg and this thigh are both getting light. And then you've got this stuff right here. So you've got a lot of light working against you. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the, maybe with color dodge, this blue color. Let me make it more blue. I'm going to bring that in to the hair so that we get some of that rim light and that color on the hair. See that? Maybe color dodge is the wrong choice, but it'll get us started. I'm going to use a mix of color dodge and color. I use a lot of layer modes, by the way, as I edit because it's just so much easier for me to make the point. I'm going to use some of that blue filtering through the see-through butterfly or whatever this is, wings. I'm going to go back to color dodge and bring in that rim light. If you're organized, you can do anything. We did this in an organized way. We took on the perspective first of the character. Then we added on top the beauty and the readability of the gender or whatever it is. And then we added the environment effect color, like the actual color of the environment. And I'm just going to go back to normal brush. And this is all the influence of this blue light on the back of this character. In between her hair. So the color isn't an afterthought. The color is really important. I mean, sorry, the light source isn't an afterthought. It's really important for making like all the major decisions. On this ear right here, we're using the blue of that environment color, which is the moon in the background. Look how nice that looks. It looks very uniform. A little bit on that collar, a little bit on the back of her character and the back of her whatever, and a little bit on the dress, a little bit on this arm. Actually, a lot more on the dress, a lot more on her hair, since it's really facing back there. And her conveniently hidden hand, trust me, I know the pain. And a little bit on this butterfly. So things are making sense because they're being united under one light source. To unite your character under one light source is to be a pro. Write that back to me. I'm just making it really, really super simple for y'all. That's literally what pros do. They unite everything under one common light source. And I'm adding more of that blue here. And then I'm just going to get Dodge tool on highlights and just exaggerate that rim light back there. This is what pros do. They just find the light source and they focus on it. They make every decision off of it. And I need to get my blue back and just finish up with the butterfly. If you're organized, you can do everything. Anything can be done. And I was thinking the other day, I was just sitting there ruminating, as I do, because my brain is so big. And I was like, you know, it's so funny all the times I used to be frustrated and in a rush to finish projects. Because I have like 1,001 things I want to do. And I get overwhelmed. And this thought just hit me randomly. And it was like, that thing you're trying to fix, that painting you're trying to paint, that thing you're trying to create isn't moving. It can't get up and walk away. It can't leave. I have my front door. My front door needs a major makeover. And it's just stressing me out because I really want to get started on it. And I'm like, my front door can't just grow legs and walk away from me. If I do a little bit every day, that front door will eventually look really nice. If I do a little bit every day, my garden will look great. But just even if I just did a little bit every day, because my garden isn't just going to get up and walk away from me and I have to chase it, and it makes things even more impossible. The thing you're trying to do isn't going to get up and leave. Your painting isn't going to grow legs and leave. If you do a little bit, if you just tackle things one at a time, instead of trying to do everything at once or trying to find a way around it, trying to hurry up and do more illustrations so you can post them on social media, all of that stuff, it's really affecting the way you are supposed to draw, the actual workflow, the natural workflow of an artist. Your painting isn't going to get up and walk away. If you do a little bit every day of these types of studies, of these types of listing things out and taking them one by one, you will get it done. And I'm getting it done right in front of you guys on the critique hour, right? Like right now, it's getting done. So there's no reason why it can't be done for you as well. So we took care of that backlight, which is really pretty. See how that blue that's moving down her arm is really unifying that entire back half? Do you see that? And I'm going to use that exact same blue color on a new layer. And I'm just going to, maybe on soft light, actually I need to change the layer to soft light, not my brush. Bring in the glow of the moon to explain where, oh, I love soft light. Really, soft light never fails me. And I'm just letting the glow of that moon explain where all this blue is coming from. Such a pretty effect. Look at that. Do you guys see that? Your painting isn't going to get up and walk away. Take things one step at a time. Eventually it will get done. So now we can also do the same thing with this one. This one isn't quite so warm that it will make the skin as warm as it used to be, but it's just warm enough that we can explain where all the skin tone is coming from right here. Okay, and that's really going to help us as well. And then I'm just going to see if this is my brush or if this is some kind of shit back there. Yeah, it is. So give me a second. I'm just going to try to get rid of all this graininess. Adding noise doesn't make your paintings better. Adding a believable light source does. And then we've got one more glowing object, which is down here, all of these glowing flowers. So in order to make these flowers glow, we got to sacrifice something because nothing can compete with this anymore. So we're going to just darken her butt a little bit. I know you really want to show her butt. It's a pinup. But let's just darken some stuff a little. Let's get some stuff out of the way so that we can have more darkness to let all of these lights actually come out. So we got rid of that extra light there. We added that glow. Now we can get this color and use it on her leg, and that's going to let her leg be visible again. So you will be able to show off her butt, but not in a in kind of a cheesy, overexposed way. You can just use the ambient light of these bioluminescent flowers, just like that, and you can show off some of the characters behind as you do. So color dodge, maybe color dodge will help us. It just depends on what exactly she's wearing. If she's wearing something shiny, you're going to have to decide which parts are getting the shiny stuff. So lots of steps, lots of moving parts, but it's very doable. It's not impossible to tackle a painting with this many parts to it. You just think scientifically. What's the largest thing in this entire painting? Oh, it's the legs. Oh, it's the character. No, it's the world around the character. It's the sky. That means that you have an environment to respect. Then after that, what's the second largest thing? The moon, the environment, the general atmosphere, the bioluminescent, secondary, tertiary light source. All of those things are the next step to take on. Obviously, you need a character to reflect all this light, but nevertheless, you still have to, even as I correct, I have to follow these rules, these orders, these kind of like coding, like the first line of code that establishes everything. Well, that's just exactly what I'm talking about here. And I'm adding some of that highlight on the thigh. I don't know what this is. Is this a cast shadow? You have a lot of like rogue little things hanging out that you really don't need to worry about. So I'm just going to get this highlighter and I'm going to radially build that thigh, meaning I'm just going to let it climb up and build up towards the light and then delete what I don't want. So you actually overpainted. You overpainted this. What does it mean to overpaint? It means you just keep throwing more and more and more patience and mileage and time into something and not know when to stop. And eventually you leave the fundamentals when the fundamentals happened 3 hours ago. Simple painting and being a professional. Have you guys noticed how professionals do things really quickly and in a very simple way, but it's impossible to duplicate and they make things look easy? Well, that's because they know what it is that they were aiming for. They're aware of the fundamental that was occurring at the time. That's because it's not that complicated. Again, you could have darkened the bra line, you could have darkened the shoulders, you could have darkened the whole character, but you were too obsessed with us being able to see the character. You didn't trust us to keep seeing the character if we just darkened it enough for all of these beautiful light effects to come through. So all of this that was happening in the painting got really busy and started competing with each other. A professional knows to slow down and let the physics do its thing in order for it to look like a realistic painting. Realism needs physics. If you've forgotten about the physics and the order of physics, then you no longer have realism. Realism isn't just about anatomy. Realism isn't just about facial proportions. Realism is about the light source. So you're going to see the paint over very, very soon, the before and after in a second, and you're going to see how overrated it is to overexpose your characters. It really is so overrated. Before I finish, I'm just going to add some more little highlighters here and there for the character. Just because we need to make her face part of the focal point, so that means that I have to borrow some of this warmth here and just add a bit more detail around. Use dodge tool in some areas very, very carefully. Of course, don't overdo the dodge tool. Using dodge tool on some of the features, and I believe her sexy tear as well. All right, you can't cry in an ugly, even your tears have to be attractive. And then I want to throw in a little bit of some kind of color to her lips. So maybe we can like borrow a cool pink. I'm not going to go picking like a coral pink. I'm going to pick a pink that matches our environment. Very, very hot pink kind of thing. Fuchsia. And I'm just going to let it run over the mouth and the cheeks. Just to bring in, see that? It's so nice. Just to bring in a little bit of color to her face so she doesn't look more like so sickly. But if sickly is what you want, okay, that's fine. And I'm going to add a little bit of that same red on the skin tone, a little bit here and there. And then, sorry, my bird's calling me. Shh, Sophie. And then I'm just going to blur the moon. The moon is too sharp, unless you're looking at it through a telescope. This moon is too sharp. It's eating up the focal point. It's in the background. I mean, have you ever seen a moon this sharp? They're usually a little bit blurry. We're seeing them with the naked eye. We remember seeing them with the naked eye. So it's kind of overrated to just let them be this sharp. So what I'm going to do is duplicate and then filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Oh, wow. Look at that. Even that extreme blur. Holy cow. I didn't expect it to look this right away. I thought I had a little bit more changes to do. Look at that. Just blurring the moon gave us a background. Excuse me? Excuse me, physics. How dare you be this simple? It's so elusively simple. Did you guys see that? Did you guys catch that magic of physics? I mean, if you blurred it even more, wow. Now it looks like a 3D model. This is insane. Look, everybody, it's this easy. You just have to blur. Obviously, the background, this background isn't as blurred as the moon. So we're just going to drop that down. But we will blur some of the background. Not in the same degree as the moon, obviously. Because the moon is further away, needs more blur. But stuff in the not immediate background, but like distant background. It's going to take you 10 minutes to walk to this other side of the hill. That can be blurred a little bit. So filter, blur, Gaussian blur, that's too blurry. There we go. That's a nice amount of blur right there. Look at that. It's blurred in the appropriate amount, except behind her armpit. Okay, and then I'm just going to make sure her hair didn't get blurred. So I'm borrowing some of this, maxing it out, and just letting some hairs catch the light, like just like little flyaway hairs, just catching the light. Look at that. And that way we can get the sharpness back on her hair and not lose any of it, because I think some of her hair got blurred a little. But we still need to add this sharpness. Okay, and then I'm just going to mess around with the levels. So I'm just going to get burn tool on like mid-tones maybe, and see if I can darken the lower half. Things that are in shadow don't have sharpness, right? That back. So you can, if you want, like get the blur tool, not Gaussian blur, but you can blur anything in shadow. Like you can blur her legs. They're on the lower half of the canvas anyway. They're not that important. And then you can add those little speckles. You can add those, you do have some speckles, so I'm just going to exaggerate them a little bit. They're kind of evenly spaced, like they're too evenly spaced. They look like dots of a notebook, so I'm just going to give us some other speckles. I'm going to flatten the whole image, and then all of this bioluminescence behind her, right here. This is the same type of flower as the flower beside her. And this flower is going to get a soft light normal layer, no effects, low opacity, just so we can complete the feeling of that bioluminescence. And then these plants here get a bit more of a glow. The ones in the background. Okay, so let us flatten the image and take a look at the before and after. As for your framing, like this is a really nice butterfly, you know. It's not that, you know, like you could give us a little bit more space so we can see the butterfly. There's no reason to just cut the butterfly off. In fact, the canvas feels very long if you crop it this way. But if you were to give us a bit more of a wide crop, it's still a vertical canvas. You got a ways to go before it becomes a square canvas. So you have more than enough room to expand the painting a little bit and give us some more, instead of just killing off the edge right there really awkwardly, you can give us a bit more space. All right, let's take a look at the before and after. Before. All right, after. So just pick a spot and I'll flip through the before and after. Before, after. Before, after. So you can see that there's a slight change in the levels. That's because of all the edits I have to do. But I can drop the levels now and they'll drop uniformly. Before, after. I got some of the levels back, but not all of them. Again, I don't like playing with levels because it's so tricky. Sometimes I'll lose some of that effect, but yeah, I really don't like playing with levels, but because it's too volatile. Level is like, it attacks a lot of things at the same time, so I'm just going to get rid of what I don't want it to level out, which is most of the background. It needs to stay this kind of soft effect, and then I'm just going to leave the character. But before, after. Do you see what I mean with the masculine read on the face? Before, after. Do you see what I mean with the arms? How they looked like it was a skin tone from a different time of day? All right. Before, after. And then do you see how the objects that were illuminated, or the objects that were light sources, 1, 2, and 3, weren't even allowed to shine because the white of the bra, the white of the skin were all maxed out. Like look at your colors here, maxed out, pure white. We're at the highest level of this graph. This is the black-white graph, line of the graph, and this is the x-axis, y-axis, and this is the x-axis, which is the saturation line, and this is the illumination line. You're all the way at the highest level Photoshop can offer. Photoshop can't go any more than this. This is too much. But you have a moon that's also pure white. Is she glowing? Does she glow? No, she does not. Not all your characters can glow, because what's going to happen is you're just going to have a really bad photo. You have to dim the studio to take a better photo. You just need some shadow in there so that what is light can emerge. Before, after, before, after. This was like an order. This happened in an order of events. Remember, note down the order of events. That's the event order that you should be working with when you're painting, okay? Before, after. You weren't that far away from something that looked professional because you put in the work. You rendered what needed to be rendered really nicely. Like everybody, take a look at how they rendered this cute little butterfly. That's so well done. Take a look at how they rendered the teardrop, how they rendered the nose, how they rendered the hair. This artist is well on their way to becoming an amazing illustrator, but you need to stop, drop, and do some form studies. You need to do some environment studies. You need to get more critiques, way more critiques than you're getting right now. And you need to start understanding that your character isn't the most important thing in the painting when it comes to the physics of the painting that makes things look realistic. Your character is actually an afterthought. The first thought is the environment, the secondary and tertiary light source, the primary light source, the position of the character in that environment, the shadows, what's illuminated, what's not. It's almost like the character is just here to provide an opportunity for the light to reveal itself. It's not about the character being the king of the physics and therefore they're brighter than any light source. No, the lightest object gets the pure whites that Photoshop has. The character is in the beautiful midtones, the midtones that sit in between everything. Remember, midtones are your currency. Midtones are what you paint with. But I'll leave you guys with that. I could talk for another 4 hours about light source if nobody stops me. Before, after. Thank you guys for watching today. I really appreciate you guys coming out to these live streams. Remember that we have a challenge on the community. We have a creature floral design challenge. You pick your favorite flower. I already added this link. Look at all these cool flowers you can turn into a creature. Like I'm already seeing these creatures popping out of me. I'm so inspired. I also love gardening. So this is a cool way to keep me interested in class. But this challenge is due mid-June, end of June. And you guys can pick any flower. It doesn't have to be from this link, but I posted this link on my Discord group in the announcements channel. Pick a flower and turn it into a creature and post all your work. And the winners, I haven't decided on what the winners are going to get, but I want to make it special this time around, along with 2 portfolio review sessions with me for free, a copy of my masterclass and Portrait Studio, everything in my store basically. I might add something extra, but take a look at all these amazing flowers you can turn into a creature. It's so colorful. It's such a fun challenge. We do floral humanoids almost every year. You turn a flower into a character, but this year we did a little bit differently. We're turning them into creatures, which is really, really cool. I cannot wait to see. Oh, wow. Look at this. It's so beautiful. Jade vine. How do I get this? It's probably tropical. Anyway, I'll see you guys next class, Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you all for coming today. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.